Thank you, Admiral. And Kareem, we've seen attacks on commercial ships involving 1 or 2 drones in the Red Sea, but the USS Carney took down 14 at one time over the weekend. Do we have any sense of what the Houthis were targeting?
In the broad scope, Ed, as I mentioned in the opening statement, and the whole purpose of this Maritime Task Force is that they're targeting commercial shipping. I mean, heck, they've even said publicly.
Usually it's 1 or 2. 14 at one time. Was that going
They
to
have largely focused their targeting on commercial ships, but, you know, we haven't seen any specific targeting or intention to target naval vessels. But you can't, you know, when a commanding officer is looking at something coming in, a drone or a missile, I mean, he or she has to make some oftentimes split-second decisions about perceiving what the threat is and taking them down. So you can't rule it out specifically. But when you're talking about these 14 drones, I mean, it's not unlike them to launch multiple at a time, and it's difficult to know when you're knocking them out of the air. It's difficult to know exactly what their intended target was. In general, and this is why we set up this task force, it is clear that the Houthis are, at the very least, conducting a concerted effort to go after merchant shipping in the Red Sea.
So it wasn't. So it was definitely shipping they were after, not maybe a place.
Again, Ed, you can't be perfectly predictive. You can detect what the point of origin is. You can detect what it is that's being fired. You can get a sense of trajectory, altitude, speed, and make a determination about the perceived threat to your ship or other ships. I can't rule out that there weren't terrestrial targets that might have been at play here. But again, in general, what we're seeing consistently from the Houthis are attempts to target merchant shipping in the Red Sea, and it's backed up by their own statements about what they're trying to do.
Real quick, on an unrelated matter, there are early reports that 2 Americans have been released in Venezuela. Do you have any comment or confirmation of that?
I can't confirm those reports. I would just tell you that President Biden takes very, very seriously our obligations to get wrongfully detained Americans home wherever they are overseas, and we work those issues very closely every single day.
Thank you. The Houthis have made it pretty clear they don't care about this multinational task force. They don't care how many ships we park out there. It's not going to deter them. So is this really going to do the trick? Are you seeing any signs that this is actually going to deter them, or is it time to consider taking military action?
Well, now it just started, didn't it? And there's going to be a whole lot of hardware in the Red Sea now, naval hardware, not just from the United States, but other ships from other nations, to counter these threats. So let's see where it goes. I mean, it's up and running now. We hope it gets stronger and we're able to add additional countries and additional capabilities to it. I'm certainly not going to telegraph any punches one way or the other. I'll say this, though. As I said in my opening statement, the attacks are unacceptable. We have national security interests at play in the region. There are international security interests at play in the region, including to the threat to shipping. We take those responsibilities seriously. We're going to continue to do what we can to protect them.
So when they say even if America succeeds in mobilizing the entire world, our operations will not stop unless the genocide in Gaza stops, you think that they will actually change their mind because of this?
That's a great question for the Houthis. What I can tell you is we are not going to stop protecting our national security interest in the region.